Hello, Scott.
Hello, Elarica. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. I think last time we spoke, I was saying this to Jay Alphonse yesterday, last time we spoke was in the middle of the madness.
Oh my God. Right smack bang in the middle. Like, I remember there was like no one outside. Like,
Yeah, legitimately no one outside.
yeah. And then people got to the point where they were like,
Indeed, yeah, everyone was, especially over here, everyone was just like, I've had enough. I forgot as well last time that you are a fellow Brit.
Yes, I am. Yeah. It's nice doing these interviews though. Get to,
That's a nice you've got a nice background as well. It's very
Oh, thanks. I'm in a fancy hotel.
Of course. Fancy hotel. I clearly am not, even though there is a bed.
I mean, it makes me feel at home, so yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm just at home before I go to watch the football in a little while.
Oh, so. Who's playing?
It's Tottenham, Arsenal this evening.
Which one are you?
I am Tottenham. For my sins, as my dad would say. All good. Anyway, let's forget about that. Yeah. We'll keep that for later. Congratulations on the show again, season 2. Here we are. All ready to go. I was saying this to Jay Alphonse yesterday, and now because of the little bit of time in between, now you're doing a season 2, you now have the kind of, you've been able to absorb season 1 and absorb the fan base. Have you guys kind of stopped pinching yourself at just, the success that you've had and the legions of fans that you've now got around the world?
I mean, I don't think you ever really stop the pinching, because there's always moments where you go, oh, damn, oh, that person. Or you look at, your insights and you're like, Jamaica? Wow. You know what I mean? So there's always those little moments. But yeah, I think we're all very much more comfortable in the space. It was like a good shock early on, just because we were like, damn, it did really well. We always wanted it to do well. We knew it would, because the script is so great and the story, everything. But it's less of a shock now and more of just like sitting in the space and enjoying it.
Yeah, and I guess as well, because it did, in a strange way, for a lot of particularly TV shows and streaming and stuff, the pandemic in a way didn't help anybody. Obviously, it was a bad thing, but in terms of being at home, it allowed people to see things that maybe they wouldn't have had the time to see. And a lot of shows have ridden that wave, which you guys have as well. You were out in the middle of the first lockdown summertime.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing seeing what COVID has done for TV, because a lot of, the shows that may have not been seen because they were on certain apps or, not have had as much numbers now they have. And I think it's allowed people to kind of search a little bit more to find a show that suits them and to maybe pay a little bit more for a different subscription, because I think everybody complains about how many subscriptions you need. But the good stuff is everywhere, so you've got to broaden your horizon. So yeah, I think that was definitely a part of it.
Yeah, and now coming back for season 2, I guess it's still, you still have a pressure, but it's a different kind of pressure, because now you have a fan base. Now you have people kind of expecting things and hoping for certain things, and now you have to deliver. Did you guys feel that on this one, or were you still kind of in your bubble and just like, we just want to do the best show that we can possibly do?
Honestly, I think the timing for everybody was like a thing. Like, that was we always knew that we was gonna, whatever Katori is writing and what we create, we know it's going to be great. We read the scripts, it feels a bit different this season. But ultimately the fans are in love with these characters. And so we just have to do our thing. The issue was the time it took to come out, and it's still taking, because it's not out yet. I mean, it's going to be out on June the 3rd. The fans weren't very happy with how long it was taking. So I think that was what we just wanted it to do, it so we could give it to them and say, okay, here you go, stop complaining.
Yeah. But now that's exactly that. Now you have a fan base that's complaining, even though before
God.
you were hoping for a fan base.
we were, and then they like a child, you were hoping for them to speak, and then all they go is why. We had that with our fans. When, why, how come? With a lot. But we're so glad that we can finally give them some stuff. We've given them the trailer and pictures, and I think they're very grateful to see that it's moving forward.
Yeah, and now obviously in a season 2 of any show, you get to delve a bit deeper into not so much the mythology, because it's a bit different, but in terms of the characters, you get to delve a bit deeper. How surprised were you when you got the scripts from Katori and the writers' room as to where not just the show went, but where your character ends up going?
I knew it was always going to be told, this part of who Autumn is, which is the Haley Colton of it all.
Yeah.
She came from an accounting background and she was very bossy in her life before. But of course, coming to the space, being at the Pynk was more of a hiding place for her, a place to kind of get herself together and move forward. And so she couldn't really show who she was, right? It would draw attention. But now she's owning, a large part of the Pynk. So she's kind of, she's in the perfect position. And I think reading it, I was like, oh, okay, this is quick. This is happening quick, but it's happening. And I'm glad because we can give something to the audience so that they can see more of who she is. But then, seeing all the COVID stuff and the way that the show has gone, again, is very different. We're seeing a lot more of these characters at home, which I think is really nice because it's them in their natural environment. But again, also that meant that we were separate. So for me watching, getting the screeners and being able to watch it, I can finally see what everybody got to do because I was hardly on set with them early the first part of the season. So yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting read. It was different and exciting, but again, the characters are just growing and evolving, and I think the audience are going to love it.
Yeah, and I guess that's proof as well with Katori as the showrunner and as the kind of the head creator behind everything. And you see why she's become such a powerhouse in some ways, because her writing and the characters and everything, and then the writers' room as well, has just become so amazing for everybody. And Jay Alphonse was saying yesterday, she's like a warrior in some ways because she's just incredible.
No, yeah, I just think she just writes with pure honesty, and I think that's what actors always look for, is let me see this character, let me understand who they are, and let me see how real it can be on screen. And she does that. She's done that with the pandemic. She's done that with, a lot of the backgrounds and a lot of the things that we're dealing with this season, and even first season, telling, this is the truth of this world. This is the truth of colorism and racism, and these are how people survive in the world when they are different. This is who we are, and among everybody lives these people. And I think that writing from that perspective is what makes the show and what makes what she's doing so great.
Yeah, and you're lucky to be with a quite incredible ensemble. I mean, some of the guys from the first, I think I pretty much spoke to all of you of the first season. You all were so excited to get it out there and everything else, and there was a real kind of love and affection between you all. And now almost you kind of have a shorthand because you've done it once, now you're doing it again. Did it feel slightly easier this time, given that you've now kind of become your own little family in some respects?
I mean, yeah, but we got that relationship very early on the first season. I've never had this kind of energy with a cast before. There's the family element, and because it's so intimate in some of the scenes, the nudity, the space, how complex the characters are all together and the issues that they deal with, it kind of made us gel very quickly early on. And so we had that first season. The only thing this season that is a shame is that we didn't get to enjoy a lot of that because of COVID. So, before scenes, people would be in each other's trailers, we'd have lunch together, we do, the music would be on, and we'd be, dancing, and it was fun. It was really fun. Season 2 wasn't as fun. It wasn't as fun because we had rules and regulations, but one thing, that we had to do was be safe, and that was the most important thing. So we took care of each other in a different kind of way this season. But, I'm just grateful to have been on set with them again. They're all very fantastic. They work really, really hard, and they inspire me, to do what I do and to live in that space and to feel comfortable in Autumn's shoes. So I feel very lucky.
Yeah. Did it take you long in the first series to kind of get into her shoes? Because I know sometimes with these kind of things, it can take you a hot minute just to kind of, get up enough momentum to get into it. So was there a moment where you, maybe in the first season or even this season, where you thought, I've kind of got her now, she's part of me now, and I can do this properly?
With last season, I definitely, it took a little bit of a moment, and longer than it usually would take for me. And it's only because she was hiding.
Mm.
So I wasn't fully being Hayley. I had elements of her, and I had this fear and this darkness that she was running away from. But then in scenes she was constantly changing. So this season it does feel like I have a whole new character, a whole new Autumn, the Hayley Colton of it all, you know, and that took a moment to be like, oh, well, oh yeah, she wouldn't do that. She's definitely going to step forward at this point and make a point of it because she's the boss. So yeah, it did take a moment. And I think the point where I was like, right, that's it, this is her, is with Uncle Clifford in the office. First big explosive argument that they have, because that's all they're constantly doing. But it was a moment with the hands in the face, and I was like, well, Hayley just needs to, this is it, this is why she's this boss, and this is why she's standing up. All right, I get it now, right, let's go. So yes, it's so different. I definitely feel like I'm playing somebody completely new, but the undercurrent of it all is still Autumn, is still what we saw season 1, is still, you know, the vulnerable, the fearful. There's still that bubbling up, but this cover is just a bit different.
Yeah, and I guess now with season 2, and like we said before about the kind of the fan base and social media and stuff, you can almost watch the show with the fans this time. There's an anticipation now, and there's going to be, you know, you can't, I guess, semi part of the spoiler culture in that you know people don't want to spoil things for everybody, but you are now part of it because you now have a series and people are really invested in these characters.
Yeah, and I love that. It's such a nice talking point, you know, like, oh, what if? I love the what ifs from the fans. Oh, what if Autumn rode a motorbike, or do you think that she'll get a better car? Like, it's all these discussions. Is she gonna? It's so nice to, you know, hear people kind of talk about those things, but also the hopefulness for the characters, where they're going. Or is Autumn gonna get with Andre? We'd really love it if she got with Andre. I know it's bad, but oh my god, it'd be great. So all those conversations are really nice, and it's just nice to see them following, you know, these journeys as much as we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably too early to tell. I started this to Jay Alphonse yesterday, and he said it's the kind of the business side of it is it needs to come out first before we can talk about a season 3. But are you hopeful that you get to revisit her, whether it's one more time, 2 more times, 3 more times, but you get another go round, as it were?
Autumn, like every other character that I've played, just exists in me. And I always, like, I just have a bunch of them. They're all somewhere down here, you know, waiting to be revived, or just kind of, you know, savoring the moment of what that situation is. But yes, she's a fantastic character, written so well, and in this world that was the first time I had kind of ever been in that space. And, you know, she introduced me to so many wonderful people and places and things, these dancers, that I'm very grateful for her, and to be able to play her and be in her space. I mean, we don't know about a season 3. We're always hopeful that something like that will happen. We got season 2 quite quickly after season 1. But we have our fingers crossed, and, you know, Katori has stories for days for these characters for years and years and years to come. So I'm sure there's plenty of seasons on the horizon somewhere, but it's whether or not we get the green light.
I'm sure you will. I have a feeling that you will. Finally, I wanted to ask you this. You can tell me if this is completely rubbish internet rumors, but are you going to be part of a Marvin Gaye biopic? Is this something that's happening or not happening, or what? Because I was like, oh, I might ask her about that, because it didn't seem to be like 100, like cemented, as it were. It just seemed to be an internet thing, but it's on IMDb, so I thought I would ask you.
It is. And everything on IMDb there's some truth in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Although it's something that happened quite a while ago, it just didn't happen. We filmed, we nearly finished it, and then I call it the Wikipedia of the lost Marvin Gaye movies, because actually if you go on Wiki, there's been about 5 that they've tried to make, and it just hasn't happened, and I'm a part of history.
So it's something that you were part of but didn't, for whatever reason.
Yes, it just It fell apart, unfortunately.
Oh,
It was amazing, and I mean, if something like that ever moved forward, it'd be great. And I was playing Janice Gay, and I was like, wow, this is insane. And you know, we had footage, and it did some stuff, but it never got finished.
Oh, I know. I didn't know that part. So
no, so I don't think anyone really knows. Actually, it's nice to revisit that story. Just
yeah, because it's there, it exists as a thing. So I figured, that adds to the, you know, we've just had a Aretha Franklin one, we're getting a Whitney Houston one later this year, and a few others in between. And Marvin Gaye seems the logical person to do something like that with. But
if they manage to, we'll see.
Alas, maybe they'll leak the footage somewhere on YouTube or something.
I mean, I think it's out there somewhere. Happy deep diving.
We'll have a deep dive. We'll see what happens. Elarica, it's lovely to talk to you again. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope the season 2 goes really well for you. I hope we get to speak season 3 down the line.
Yes, thank you so much.
No worries, you're welcome. You too, take care. Bye bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.